All right, Hush Little Baby. Here we go. I have my HLB, Hush Little Baby, my initials review sequence, because we're going to be putting it all into a review sequence. And I have over here my footage, my audio, and my sequence. Under footage, these are my clips. And under audio, we have production audio. Excuse that. We have production audio. Now, the first thing that we did was that we made sure that all of our columns were aligned sequentially. We made sure that all of our columns were aligned sequentially. Well, how do we do that? If you come over to each column, name, frame rate, media start, media end, media duration, one of them will have an arrow next to them to tell you that, hey, we are sorting all of this information via this column. So currently I see it's sorted on my frame rate, which is not that helpful, being that I need it to be more so with name. Now, it doesn't matter because I can see that these are still sequential, but if I come over here, this is how I make sure, now that I see this arrow here, that it is all being assorted to the column of the name of my footage. And we can see that it starts with, they all start with A006, but the second set of numbers in a letter is A008, and that goes down to A009, all the way down to A024. So this is how we're going to read this, and all this other information, it's just going to confuse us. We really want to keep ourselves to this. So this is the order that we're going with. Our first one is 08, and our last one is 24. Now, if I press this, we'll see that it goes from 24 to 8, so it goes from descending to ascending. Let's press that one more time, and I'm pressing the column name. Every time I press it, it goes from ascending to descending. So we wanted to start up here with 008. Now let's also come on over to our production audio. We see that our first one begins not with zoom 001, but with 002, and it goes all the way down to 15, which means we have roughly 13 of these, and we have about 16 clips, which means that three video clips do not have audio attached. In class, I encouraged you to bring these all over at once, but if it feels better, and if you feel like you'll do a better approach to it, just do it one at a time. So let's just bring this first one over, right? We're going to insert it right there, and we'll go to audio. Maybe I'll put this in its own bin, and I'll come back over here, and these are both in a bin that I could just go back and forth between. So I'll bring this one, and I will make sure my playhead's at the beginning. Oh, this came, I didn't realize where my playhead was. Great. Put it right there underneath. Now the first one's kind of a freebie, because what I did was I put my marks there for you already. As you can see, that tiny little button right there, that's a marker. And this tiny little button here, that's an audio marker. In order to make a marker on clips, you have to make sure you select the clip. You make sure you have your playhead exactly where you want it to be. And when you press M, you'll do that. And I'll show you for the next one we do. Our goal right now is to align the markers. Now, we don't want to move the markers within the clip. We just want to move each clip so that they're on top of each other. I think some people were thinking that you had to take the marker and move it, and they felt like Primer wasn't helping them with that. But it's kind of the opposite. Just move the entire clip so that the markers that you've put are on top of each other. You're probably wondering, how do I even do this process? So I'm going to start with the second clip. I'm going to go to A009, put my playhead at the end over here. I'll put insert. I have it patched to V2, so I'll move that down to V1. And when I come over to my audio, I'll overwrite that, bring it over here. So I have two clips on top of each other. What I'm looking for is that moment that this slate clapped. The moment that they took this top part and they clapped it down, and that it got recorded on both video and audio. Now, the one I'm going to start with is audio, because audio is the easiest for us to determine. Why? Because all we got to do is look at our audio, and I'll make this bigger, and look for a spike in audio, a very quick and abrupt one, early on in the recording. And I see that right here. This is too big. This almost sounds like people talking. And if I come and I put my playhead over and I press play, sounds like two slates happened. So over here, here's one slate. That sounds like a slate clap. Now I come over here, I actually can see that there was another one. So we have 2 slates, which means that if we watch this video, we should be able to see that there were 2 slates done. So let's go to this first one, zoom in as fast as you can, and put your playhead as close as you can before it. Don't put it after it. You want it to be right when they clap on the slate. So I'll put my playhead right before it. I'll select my audio clip. And the moment I press M, notice how my marker has now appeared. And I've marked the slate on audio. That's effectively what I have done. Now I have to go and watch the video. So I'm going to make this bigger, make our emphasis now video, because what we want to do is see the moment that they clapped on the video. So I'm going to come through. I see, okay, just like we see in audio, they slate once and then they slate again. So here's the first one and here's the second one. I'm going to try to slate as best as I can to the second one. Now I can try and do both to make it easier for myself. But I see that one, they made this kind of hard for us because it happens off frame. And 2, how do I get it to be as precise as I can? I like to move my playhead and I kind of go back and forth. I scrub. Going back and forth like this is scrubbing. You can use your mouse to hold down and just move it. And I like to go right when I see it go down. Perfect. There it is. Now I'm going to use my arrow keys, my left and right arrow keys on my computer to kind of navigate frame by frame. So I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to go back one. I can see up here, let's make this full screen, that the clap board has not quite hit the bottom, so it hasn't officially clapped yet. But if I put my arrow key to the right, that is the moment that it clapped. I kind of want to make my marker 1 frame ahead, right there, right before it claps, because that to me is going to be the best moment for me to manually sync this. So that's the moment I want. Again, I used my arrow keys, my left and right, to go frame by frame to watch my clapper the moment before it snapped down. I select my video, I press M, I've made a marker. The reason I did this too is because if we look at our audio and we zoom in, we also created a marker kind of a millisecond before the clapboard shuts down. So we want that to be the same on both. So now I see that there's a marker here and a marker there. And since they're a couple of seconds apart, the way that I change this now is I align them. I do not move my markers, but I move the clips themselves so that my markers become aligned. So I'll move this slowly to the right. And the moment it goes over this playhead, Premiere knows, also because I have my snap and timeline on, it's going to snap these 2 markers together. So now if I come back and watch it,
Yell out loud. Scene 1, take 2, marker. So yeah.
Looks good to me. Now I'm going to move my playhead a little bit forward because there's not many lines of dialogue, but I think over here he says, "Thank you, honey." So let's just watch it and make sure it worked.
Thank you, honey.
Looked pretty good to me. Let's watch that one more time.
Thank you, honey.
Looked pretty good. If it doesn't align, then you have some more troubleshooting to do. Troubleshooting is when we have to fix things manually ourselves. And the best way that you can do that is by looking at the waveforms. I see over here that it's a lot of relative silence and that these peaks that happen are people talking. Let's listen to what they say here.
All right. All right.
So he says, all right, all right. He gets up and then he says his big line.
Thank you, honey.
So I can always look at my waveforms, watch my video. Okay, be like, is he about to speak here? Do I see his lips move?
Thank you, honey.
Now, luckily, it is aligned. But if it wasn't, I would try and move either to the left or the right, my waveforms to match up with when I watch visually his mouth move. It's the hardest way possible. But okay, so now that we have this, we want to make sure that they become one, essentially. We want to group them together. So I'm going to lasso them both together by holding down on my mouse and dragging. And you see how that cross comes up. That's how we lasso. Then I will right click and move down to the option that says group. Now you're thinking, should I link them or should I group them? The best option is to group them, and you can always ungroup them. But you want to also make sure that your link selection is on, because now that I've grouped them, they're linked. If this was off, they would not be together. Essentially, link selection and group, they're very similar, but in this instance, we're grouping them together to act as one, and this can apply to anything. This can apply your link selection to any video and audio that is naturally synced together. You could always unlink them so they'll act as one. By default, there will be reasons you want this off, but let's just go ahead and make sure that this is on. And let's make sure that this is always on. So anytime we group anything or anytime we have a video with corresponding audio, they will always work together. So I like to, I've kind of done this already, but let's do it together one more time. I like to lasso, right click, go to my labels and give it a color. Let's say in this case, I'll make it lavender. So I know not only have these been effectively synced together, but they've been grouped. And now I can move forward to the next one. Now I know that there's one in here that is particularly problematic because the entire slate was done off camera. And it looks to be this one. So let's do this one together. I'll put this over here. I'll insert it. I'll go to the beginning. I'll go back to production audio and take the third one. And I will overwrite that. Okay, so I know that my audio slate is going to happen relatively early on. I look for that spike in audio. There it is. And thus, you could tell I already have a marker on it, right? Again, you press M to mark it. On the clip, select the clip. Now, the video one is going to be tricky because for some reason, nobody fixed the fact that nobody on set realized that this was done off camera and there we can't really watch it. So we have to really troubleshoot this. Usually, right after they go, take one, they clap, they move out of frame. So we could look for the moment right before they move out of frame to be where we guess our clapping on the video to be. So let's watch this. Okay, so they move out of frame, they come back. Okay, so right before they really move out of frame is right over here. So
take 3, marker,
okay. So it sounds like she's saying
marker.
right before then, we can assume. Again, I'm using my arrows to go frame by frame. We can assume right over here, and let me mute this so I could just watch my video. That right before they move out of frame is when they make the slate. And I can even see just by scrubbing that it looks like there's slight movement and that's when they clap down. So I'm going to go left on my left arrow. And I'm just going to, for now, guess that right here is when they clap on the slate. So I'll put an M there. I've made my marker there. Okay, now I'm going to move my video clip to align this marker to that one. So I'll physically move this over. There's the marker. And now I can unmute this and watch.
There we go. That was good. Cool.
Okay, so if I move and I wait for over here when I know he says,
Thank you, honey.
thank you, honey. I look at my waveforms to help me out with that. Let me look at my video.
Thank you, honey.
Aha, we're off, right? Unfortunately, we didn't have the visual indication of the slate to help us, but we have to troubleshoot this. So let's look at when he starts speaking. Right there. He's about to open his mouth and he's about to say, thank you, honey. So in this case, I'll make a marker on the video again. I'm going to look at my waveform and I know that this is when he starts talking. So I'll make another marker right here. I'm going to move the video over to align the two markers on top of each other. And now let me watch it.
Thank you, honey.
Slightly off. Let's do that again. Undo. Command Z will get rid of them. So, okay. I got to pay attention to his face here, right? And let me make this bigger. I'm going to use J to reverse. Okay. Let's go frame by frame with my right arrow forward until it looks like he's saying thank with his mouth. There it is. So I can hold this down. His mouth is open. He yawns, opens it, closes it, and then he goes, thank you. Okay. Thank you, honey. I think that's what he's saying. I'm trying to mouth it along with him. There it is. We got to use our best judgment here. So I'm going to now make a marker right there. And I'm going to make a marker right around when he starts speaking. And try it again.
Thank you, honey.
There we go. Let's try it one more time.
Thank you, honey.
It's pretty okay. It might not be perfect. And let's look at a moment over here when he says, all right.
All right.
Might be a couple seconds off, but we did the best we can. If you feel like it's a couple seconds off, take your video and move it a frame forward.
Thank you, honey.
Now, if you don't like that, come over here and move it a frame back.
Thank you, honey.
Again, these are the ways that we troubleshoot these kind of issues. Okay. Last thing I do, I lasso it if I'm happy with it. I group it, and then I give myself that visual indication that it's good. That's going to be your hardest clip. The rest of this should be relatively easy. The rest of them should have slate done within the camera. Like if I come on over here, slate is done perfectly within the camera. I will say, just pay attention to down here. I'm looking at clip 022, A022. I'm going to make this full screen. Notice how over here MOS has a circle around it. That means that there is no corresponding audio. So you have to read this slate, right? Slate has all this information for a reason. It's not just to do the clapping so our sync can happen. That's one of the reasons we slate. We're giving a lot of information. We know they used one roll of film, even though this is probably digital. They had one scene that they were doing this, what is that, maybe 7 setup of, and this was the first take of it. We know it's interior and night, and that this was MOS. So we need to pay attention to all these details. Let's see, 21. This is also MOS. 20. This one is also MOS. Those are probably the 3 clips right there that you do not want to sync. 4. 19. This one, though, 817 is synced. So there will be corresponding audio to that. So just be careful and be conscious of that. This is how we read slate, and this is how we know how to move forward with syncing audio. So I hope this tutorial helped. Reach out with any further questions. Again, this is going to come in really handy. You might just have to do some of this manual stuff yourself in the future. We always want to know how to fix problems and think of Premiere as the way to benefit us as editors. Thank you, and I will see you next class.